What is up, nerds? I am Taylor. It is April 26th when you're watching this, maybe, or maybe it's later than that. Whatever, this video is going out on April 26th. I can see again. I, scratched my cornea last week. It was a thing. And if you can see again, maybe you're asking, Taylor, why'd you get that shitty haircut? Shut up, inner voice. Stop judging me. Anyways, yeah. I like some really lame jokes and even lamer comics. Worst to best. We got a stack to go through, so let's do it. Some of these came out a week ago, maybe longer, whatever. I would visit a different comic shop. My LCS across the street doesn't always get shit. If you've ever been watching for a long time, it doesn't matter. Anyways, worst. Man, I wanted to like this because it's sci-fi. It's Plan 59 from outer space, and it's not good. It's really not. It's not even cheesy in a good way. I mean, it's cheesy, but it's not cheesy in a good way. The art kind of reminds me of like very, very early McFarlane work, like before he figured out a style kind of thing. And the plot itself is just kind of goofy and weirdly paced. The pacing is my biggest issue. Like, it just doesn't really turn into a cohesive story at all. And I get Plan 9 from Outer Space, the movie, and the Ed Wood and whatever, did not do that either. But it just doesn't read well as a comic, and that's the problem. It's not cheesy enough, and tonally it doesn't know what it wants to be, and I really, really kind of hated it. Oh, and it's bent to shit, so whatever is what it is. All right, next. We're going kind of fast this week because I'm tired and old, and I worked all day long. Popscars number 2. I think I read the first one of this. I do not remember at all. That's how little an impression it left on me. And I need to make a note to myself not to get any more because this one also I might forget. There's a plot-ish, revenge-ish, set on movie stuff-ish with a whole lot of dialogue. Like a lot. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those weeks where there's just not a lot. There's a lot of books out from the last couple of weeks, but nothing amazing. And this really... Also, man, it was a chore to read this. I almost didn't finish it. I almost was like, well, maybe I shouldn't tell people about it. Maybe you can be lazy and let it go. No, I can't, people. I can't. It's written by Pat O'Malley, art by Santi Gillian. No, that's the cover. And then the interior art is N.L. Ashworth. I like the cover. That's what did it for me. I like the cover. And the motivation behind the anti-hero is worthy, so I maybe should feel bad critiquing it. And it has some fun panels, but man, was this a mess to read. Like, seriously, it really not a good book. All right, next, hang on. I've got to do some sorting here. I kind of put this stuff in order weirdly, and yeah, that's what I do. All right, hang on. Well, I'll rearrange shit as I go. There. Yeah, we're going to do that. All right. I wanted to like this. I really did. It's Green Arrow number 1, Josh Williamson. Turns out maybe I just don't like Josh Williamson. So I'm writing all that much. It's fine. Got some big, weirdly bombastic splash pages that I'm like, I wouldn't have made that into a splash page, but that's who am I? I'm not a writer or an artist or anything. I just review this shit and have a bad hairdo. So what do I know? It's the return of Wally West, whatever the fuck his name is. I can't remember. Like I said, it's been a day. The panels are also just kind of all over the place nonsense and don't flow well from one to the next. The art is by Izaxi. Hang on, I will find it out for you, maybe, unless it's at the back, like DC sometimes does. And then, yeah, god damn it. You're going to make me hunt for this shit, and I don't care enough to. Sean Izaxi. I didn't like the layouts are just kind of a hot mess, and it's a team book. You get some cool stuff with the other people, and there's maybe a new intro. I don't know if it's the intro or not. There's enough elements here that maybe it could be good eventually, but it's a clunky first issue, and it's like nothing about this made me give a shit enough to keep reading it. Even the big sort of cliffhangery ending where I'm like, hey, that doesn't have any emotional resonance or any punch to it. So nope, don't care. Just don't give a shit. Speaking of not giving a shit and being done with it, I wanted to like this too. I like Jed McKay. I thought the first issue was kind of weak, and the second issue is Doctor Strange number 2. Pascal Ferry. Maybe I just don't like Doctor Strange as a character. I don't know, or whatever. I tried liking the Strange series, which is about Clea. Not a likable character. Purposely unlikable, I think, according to writing. But now it's Clea and Doctor Strange are dating, so it's just two unlikable people in a book that's pretty unlikable. Pascal Ferry's art, I know it's not for everybody. I didn't mind it. It's just got some, I don't know, oddness to it, and also tonally it just kind of feels strange. And then this issue felt like it had a resolution, but like the resolution was mostly done off panel, and it just kind of was wonky. Like that's sort of the theme for this week. There's a lot of shit that just is like told about and not shown, which is not great for a comic. And then there's like these weird setups and stuff that just there's not enough to any of this for me to really care at all. Like I don't know, maybe I'm in a mood. I'm probably definitely in a mood, but like I said, I'm tired today. So like take everything I say in these reviews with the usual grain of salt. Make your own choices, buy your own shit, and like don't blame me for your life choices. But yeah, another one. I'm just not digging it, and I'm done with it. If I remember, like there's none of these. There's nothing memorable about what I've read thus far, and that's the problem. I'll forget how shitty they are unless I go rewatch all my own shit. I guess I just have to start rewatching all my own crap and be like, yeah, Taylor, you gave yourself some advice. Take it, Taylor. Future Taylor, remind yourself that you don't really give a shit about Doctor Strange's book. All right. This next one's a weird one. I did not read any of the interiors middle stuff. Well, I tried and I hated it. And so this is just a wrap up. It's Kieran Gillen. This is another one I just bought because I do like the Mr. Sinister character, but honestly I missed the entire story. So me judging this on its own is tricky. It's Kieran Gillen writing Paco Medina on the art, and the art is glorious. The story, I don't know, it wraps up, but I missed way too many details for me to like really be effective at it. I'm just throwing this in here because it's like I had to go somewhere in the reviews or I could not review it. So it is what it is. I like Kieran Gillen stuff a lot. He's got flawed characters. Mr. Sinister's a flawed character. Everybody else is flawed. And I like the way he writes Sinister, but there's just not enough going on here. And then like there's another reveal at the end of this that looks like it's leading up to some shit. But my problem is the reveal. I don't know the character who's like got the big deep dark revealy secrety thingy. So it's not having any punch for your mileage may vary. If you've been reading X-Men and are caught up on this, you might like this a whole lot more, or you might hate it. I don't know, whatever. But like, I think it's necessary to enjoy this book to really have read and be caught up in all the mutant titles and stuff, and that just takes energy I don't have right now. And I don't care about the Krakoa shit. I don't care about when mutants can just die and keep coming back to life and lifey. It takes away any emotional resonance. And I get it's comics. That's how that all works. Everything comes back, and like Hickman was playing up on that trope, and that's where he started all that journey. But Hickman's a very skilled writer and had an intricate plot planned out that I think Marvel just booted him from when nobody was reading it. So he got left with like these kind of second level writers trying to like take over his vision and turn it into their own thing, which it just hasn't been working for me. And so I gave up on it, and I should not have just bought this. It just was, like I said, I'm a sucker for Mr. Sinister. It is what it is. Not a great book. All right, next. This one came out last week, I think, or maybe week before, whatever. Terrorwar #1. This is dumb. It's solid in Abed, and like it's just big dumb fun. It's not a bad book. It's got some cool visuals. It's living in the future with the slums and fighting giant monsters with brain bullets. I mean, it's a pretty nonsensical plot. Like, it honestly feels kind of like it's written by a 12-year-old, and I don't mean that as an insult. It's just kind of that's what it feels like. It's got everything a 12-year-old in the 90s would think was cool is in this book. I mean, the name is Terrorwar, so you kind of should have some idea that you're in for just an over-the-top gore fest. I know Saladin might get it right, and like this is fun and stupid. It's just you have to be in the mood for fun and over-the-top and bombastic and stupid. And while I kind of don't hate it, it's just also there just wasn't enough for me to like. I mean, I love the art, I really do. And I love the gore, so I don't know, maybe, you know what, looking back through this, maybe I'll give it a second issue number try, if I can, another try. Then, yeah, words, maybe. I'll give the issue another one, like issue number 2. Maybe I'll read one more. God damn it. This is why you watch, for riveting content by a bumbling moron that can barely speak. So, I might rank this one higher in retrospect, but hang on, and I'm doing on the fly adjusting. This really is one of those days where, yeah, all right, that, and we're gonna go that. Did I like these? Okay, I'm sort of said at the end. All right, next we have the wrap up of Plush. This is Wagner, Horace Wagner, Leroy Wagner, Matt Wagner, not Matt Wagner, Doug Wagner, and Dennis Hilliard on the art, Daniel Hilliard on the art. Murder Furries against cops. It's got an ending. I read all of it, and it was over the top and stuff. This ending, the issue with the issue, is that it was hard for me to keep track of which character was which on the plushy furry side. But that said, this is another one of those books where it's just over the top, gory, stupid fun. Like if you've liked Vinyl or any of the other stuff that Doug Wagner has written and Daniel Hilliard, they've paired up on a few things. You'll probably like this. It has like an ending that will maybe satisfy the furry crowd and maybe not. I don't know. This is another week, and this is another book where it's just hard to kind of talk about because like you have to be in the mood for this one, and you have to have lived through 5 issues of this already. So if the idea of over the top murder furries versus corrupt cops doesn't do it for you, I don't know what this last issue is going to sell it for you. I don't think it was the greatest ending in the world. I think it was an ending, and I think it kind of fits the story. But what I was expecting was a little more. I wanted more over the top. I wanted it to be a little crazier, and I wanted it to be at least visually. I mean, there's some cool visuals in here, but I wanted it to be like splash pages of stupidity. It's kind of really what I wanted, and you didn't get that. You got a attempt to like actually tell a bit of a story in here, which is fine. It's just kind of, I don't know, like when you have like these bright, gaudy, murdery covers and stuff, I wanted more of that in the interior than I got. All right, next, one of my favorite teams, and so I'm also biased on this. It was okay. This is Doom Patrol number 2. It's written by Unstoppable, written by Dennis Culver, art by Jeff Burnham, Chris Burnham, John Burnham. Who the hell is it? Chris Burnham, there you go. Dennis Culver. All right. This has, if you've watched the Doom Patrol series, this feels like it's tied into that a bit as far as like with the characters. It has all the characters you're familiar with. It's got some of the Suicide Squad, and it's got all of the elements, but it still is not, in my head, crazy enough to be a good Doom Patrol book. It's a fairly straightforward team book. And it just doesn't go off the rails or become unhinged enough. There's violence. There's some cool shit. You get Peacemaker. You get like Cliff the Robot and stuff. But like the characters on the team don't seem like they have the right personalities for me. And then you just don't get the odd screwball shit that I want to do Patrol book. Your mileage may vary on all this stuff this week, but like there's an odd character introduced, but it's just not weird enough. And that's kind of, I don't know, maybe that is the theme for this week, is all these books seem to be like kind of like, oh, all right, that's a kind of wussy way to do it. And so, all right, that's kind of wussy way to do it. It's fine, but it's kind of wussy way to do it. All right, next we have these last two. I'm tying these two together. We have Hitomi 4 and 5. I really liked the series when it first came out. I really, really did. I like the art. It's written by H.S. Tak. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Art by Isabella Bizzanti. I like the art. The art is like inky and fluid and stylized, and it's a story of a Ronin or a girl wanting revenge for the death of her family, and then a Ronin that takes her in. So it's not the craziest story. There's trippy drug stuff, and then there's this is without spoiling it. You find out you do effectively find out whether or not the girl gets her revenge, whether or not the Ronin she's trained with betrays her or sticks with her and stuff, and it is an ending. It's not the worst ending in the world, and it's just not kind of a pussyfooted ending. I wanted more. I wanted it to like really pick a direction and go with it, and that's to be fair, the HS talk is this talk. Sorry, I'm not sure. Isn't really telling that kind of story. So I may be projecting my desires on a writer that's not fair, but that's what you do in any review. And so I'm just maybe not being fair. It does wrap up, and it's still, I think, gorgeous, and it like has a point of view. It's just I wanted it to go a few steps further with it, and I didn't really. And this really is nitpicking. Like I just didn't want the ending that the last 2 pages gave us. I was okay with the rest of it, and I liked the journey. I still like the book. If you want to get it, just get it collected, and just or at least take a look at it and see what you think. If you like Ronin comics or Revenge Tales and stuff, you might like it. But yeah, it's like seems like it was really close to being great, and then just kind of went the safest route. So there we go. This is a random one. I picked it up and I thought this was a start of a new story arc. It is not, and I'm kind of lost. So Detective Comics 10, whatever the fuck, 71. It's Ram V, and I have not been reading Ram V, and Rafael Acuna. Hang on. Raphael on the art? Hang on. I should figure this out ahead of time and take notes and all that. This one I do have something to talk about. Yeah, this is okay, a bunch of different artists. Bunch of different pencilers, and that it feels a little disjointed in the penciling because of it. My problem with this book, and it is a problem for me, is, and I've talked about this, it's been a while, because mostly it's been invisible, and I have not hated anything with it, but I hated the lettering on this book. It's lettered by Ariana Meyer, and like there is just parts of it that are like tough to read given the font choice that they made, and yeah, it's the backstory, and it's like convoluted. Story-wise, which I don't have a problem with. It's just one of the retro, like when you're back in the past fonts really didn't work for me, and it took me out of the story. And I know that's probably not going to be a problem for everybody, but that's the thing with comics is they are a joint medium. It's not like just a writer or just an artist. You have all these people that have to collaborate in order to make greatness. And when like one part of it is a missing link, it affects everything. And that's this. Like it affected me enough that I didn't rank this higher. It's a complex tapestry that Ranvi is weaving, and I knew this. I just thought this was a better jumping on point than it probably was. It's the backstory of Ra's al Ghul, and it's sort of the forming of the Lazarus Island and Lazarus Pits, I believe, and like expanding on the mythology in a pretty interesting way. Enough that I probably will go back and read this at some point from the start of his run. And I love the cover, and I liked some of the art in here. The backup story with Mr. Freeze, I don't give a fuck about. I probably should, but I just don't because it gets the part 3 of 3. So I just wanted to talk about it because the lettering bugged me. And this is the issue I think some people run into when they go to a comic shop and try to read comics and like they're new. You pick up a Detective Comics, you're like, oh, it's Batman. I can pick this up and read it. You're going to be goddamn lost if you've never read the Batman book before. So like I don't know. It's. I could go on a whole diatribe about how maybe comics need to get better at like introducing new readers, or maybe whatever. I guess it is also the reader's responsibility, and maybe the comic shop owner would have like directed me differently if I asked and said I was new. But he knows me, and he knows I'm not like a new guy at this. So yeah, it's Jim Shooter used to have a thing where like every issue is somebody's first. So that's why the X-Men back in the day would really ridiculously overemphasize everybody's powers every time. It's like, Psylocke, and this is my psychic knight, the totality of my some being. And, like they'd spout off all these things. But like those things at least were the way in for a new reader. Sort of. I mean, Claremont's X-Men is a long woven book, and that's hard to get into. And I know I'm really going on tangents this week, but whatever. This book was okay. It was fine. Don't jump in here. Yeah. All right, next. This one, it's a weird one too. I like the concept of this character. Hallows Eve #2. It's an interesting power set for a new hero. It's Erica Schultz, and artist is Michael Dowling. And it's a hero that like has a bag of masks, and every mask they put on gives them a different power set and a different personality set. And like she's kind of a reluctant hero having to cope with the responsibility of her actions, which I dig. It sort of feels classic Marvel in that respect. And it's an easy enough way in. There are 2 issues, and it's one of the more unusual characters I've seen in a while. I don't always love the digital coloring in here, and the art is it feels kind of staid and safe, in some places, like the inking and the penciling. It's pretty heavy-handed, it's easy to understand, easy to read. I don't have any complaints there. It just kind of feels a little pedestrian and boring for a Marvel superhero comic. But that said, it's as intriguing enough to me that I'm going to keep this one up. I just like the Hallows Eve as a character, and takes a lot for me. So like I don't 100% know where this is going, and I'm also okay with that. I think I'm guessing this is a limited series. I have a feeling this character probably won't stick and resonate with a lot of people, and I just don't think. I think the combination, like again, the collaborative nature of comics, I don't think that's doing this a whole lot of favors. But there's something here. There's this little nugget. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I don't like the title font. I don't like the fact that it's always an ode to Halloween in here, but there's just something there. So, all right, next we have a wrap up of what started as one of my favorite books for the past couple of years. Strange Academy Finals. This is the end. This is the ultimate issue, and it's gorgeous. Roberto Ramos really did some great work on the art throughout the series, pulling out all the stops. The coloring is bright and really like maybe a little oversaturated in places, but it's a pretty effective ending. I do wish that this whole finals thing felt rushed. It felt like it needed another like 6 issues to sort of really spread it out, and to add a little bit more of the characters in school thing, because the last 6 issues really were just kind of a fight, and you get an emotional thing that's supposed to tug at your emotions here with the interaction between 2 characters that, given their past interactions, doesn't feel very well earned. So there's a few things wrong with it. I'm glad it ended. It's not in my favorite ending. I think while it's gorgeous, and while it does wrap up, and while it does settle some stuff, I don't think I think it should have gone a little further. And it maybe needed a little more time to go a little further, but yeah, I don't know. It's still a fun book, and I'm glad I read it. I do think the series started stronger than it ended, and I do think Strange Academy was a better run than Strange Academy Finals. It's coming back at some point. They promised that in here, but yeah, it's good. It's not great. All right, next, a book I really didn't expect to keep liking, but I kind of do, and that's by Tim Seeley and art by Tony Fleecs. And is it Tony Fleecs? I think it's Tony Fleecs. Yeah, Tony Fleecs. Local Man, number 3, with the flip. Local Man was a cross-jack, some jackassy made-up new character from the jackassy days of Image and their jackassiness, who is now returned home and nobody likes him. And you're slowly finding out why, and you're slowly finding out what he's doing there and whether or not he's a good guy or a bad guy. He's kind of a schlub. He's like if Captain America were a big old loser that returned home and nobody liked him, but everyone knows he was Captain America. And it's just kind of a sad story in a fun way, if that makes sense. And then there's a larger, overarching murder mystery that's happening around this character. It's a fun one. I'm liking this book. Do I think it's a fantastic one? No, but I don't think there's nothing this week that's fan fucking tastic. But I do think this is good. I liked it, and some of my issues, I have problems praising a book sometimes, and I know that's a problem, and it's called the Cranky Comic Book Review. I like the juxtaposition here of the Tony Fleecs' kind of restrained art because it fits with the story that's being told of this ex-hero kind of schlubby loser that's returned home, and Tim Seeley's writing him as a sympathetic loser, but still a loser. And then you get the sort of bombastic, this is also Tony Fleecs in a different style, doing an homage to 90s Image. I don't think his homage to 90s Image is as effective as his kind of sad sack other style, but it's fun. And I'm liking sort of the back issue fill-ins and stuff, and it's just it's another interesting idea that's got me hooked enough to keep reading. So, Local Man, number 3. All right, next, we're wrapping this one up. This is getting close to the end of Chip Zdarsky's run, and it's Marco Checchetto on the art. Checchetto's art is glorious, and this is Daredevil versus everybody. All the Avengers are mad at him, and he's trying to do his Daredevil thing and save the world and save everybody with the grand scheme of things, and nobody understands him because he's a tortured soul. And it's going to this is sort of a transitional issue. It is Daredevil versus the Avengers, kind of. And you get a lecture in here, and you get, like, you can tell it's heading towards a finish line. A lot of this is going to depend upon whether or not Zdarsky sticks the landing with the actual ending. But this issue, for what it was, for being a transitional issue and for being a kind of like racing towards the finish line, was pretty fucking cool. You're starting to see some of these threads that Zdarsky's been weaving over the past couple of years pull together into a sock. I don't know, I lost the metaphor somewhere in there. But yeah, I like this one a lot. And I do think Checchetto is great on the art on this. Like his Daredevil and his sense of just random, like he could turn random panels into dynamic art, and not everybody can pull that off. If you've seen some of the other stuff, like he's great at the superhero action stuff, and finely detailed, and like has some awesome costume designs. And then yeah, it's a pretty damn good book. It really is, and that's it's again not amazing, but nothing this week was. But for what it is, it's good. And then we have, this is my favorite book of the week. I didn't expect it to be, but it's Steve Scroce, Clobberin Time #2. Like a Thing, this is sort of like the Marvel 2-in-1s where the Thing teams up with somebody else every issue. And this is with Daredevil. And there's a plot and there's an overarching thing. But I mean, this is just a glorious Steve Scroce going over the top with his details, drawing what he wants to draw. You can just tell he loves the Thing and like loves drawing it, and like the amount of detail, and then the amount of attention he pays to like Thing and Wolverine, and you get some glorious splash pagey stuff. And the story itself is not bad. I mean, like, just look at that weird, creepy, gross cover. Maybe this should rank a little lower, but I am just putting this one up here because like I dig Scroce's over the top art style, and I dig his use of like the character of Ben Grimm, who I think has been a neglected character for a long time, and I just kind of am having fun reading it. And sometimes that's just all it boils down to with a book. It's like whether it can be great, it can be awful, but like it's whether or not you enjoy it. And I forget that sometimes. I feel like I need to try and nitpick everything apart and take it down and like dissect it and like really think about why. And sometimes I can't put my finger on it. And this one, like, I know what the art is the big reason, but I'm also liking the story, and I'm just having fun. And I'm like reading about the Thing teaming up every week. So there you go. That's what I've got. I could go through these all again, but I am tired. I am hungry. I'm going to go make some food and not talk to y'all anymore. So hang on. I got to put my glasses back on so I look all serious. Look at that stupid-ass haircut. Don't ever get a haircut when you can't see, people. That's my advice to you. And I don't know. Don't be a dick, even if you really, really feel like being a dick. I don't know. Yeah, just don't be a dick. All right. I'll see ya.